My name is Brandon Klein. I'm part of the AFWERX team, and I am here to support Master John and amazing Rachel take us through a workshop on setting up for innovation impact. And Rachel, would you like to start with a poll first, or do you guys want to introduce yourselves first?
We can go ahead and start off with the poll, and John's actually going to kick us off.
I can't see instructions right in front of me. Sorry. Polls on your screen.
While you see that, I'm going to play some really good music for you for a minute, set the tone for you. Little Enya, go ahead and finish that question. And in a couple seconds, we'll end that. And then I'll tell you some really awesomely terrible dad jokes.
Well, just to pause for a second, Brandon, I think we're getting a few people that are asking about meeting passwords. Is that...
Where is that?
I'm getting a few texts from people who aren't able to get in.
If they're clicking on the link from the agenda, it's the same one that everybody in here is in. So it's built into the link. But I can tell you guys, I can give you, I'll text you the password so that they can get in. John, would you like the poll results?
Yeah, please. All right. Great. And you have one more real quick?
Yep.
I'll forego the Enya. I'll spare you guys. Although it is incredible to wake up to an Enya soundtrack, by the way, as your alarm. All right, you have the second. Do you have the second question?
Yep, it's going up right now.
Sweet. This one's going to be rapid fire. Go ahead and cast your vote. I think that's a quorum for what we've got here. You can show the results to that. All right. Sweet. All right. And then in order to absolutely round this off before Rachel takes it away and the audience is warmed up for you, I figured if you guys think awkwardly at my terrible jokes, anything she does will be incredible going on from here. So I'm going to tell you three jokes. Did you ever hear of the guy that invented the knock knock joke? He won a Nobel Prize. Yes, very awkward. I know. I've got a
everybody
great
can go off mute to laugh at John. I think that's a fair.
Hey, it's a win. That's the purpose of this. No matter what, it's a win. No matter what. I got the ha ha. You know, can't read tone in text, but I think you're laughing hysterically over there. I've got a great joke about construction, but I'm still working on it. And finally, I used to hate facial hair, but then it grew on me a little bit. I don't have any right now, but whatever. So we got the polls out. You guys have seen that. Rachel, I think they are ready for you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, John. Well, today we're going to be looking at how to create innovation impact from a vision, pipeline, and process level. And so this all came about because I've personally spent a lot of time in the innovation space. So I worked in venture capital, innovation research, and lots of different large corporations. Military is a little bit new to me, so learning this space. And across all of these different areas, I've met lots of different experts who understand different pieces, but bringing it all together to really create that impact has been really challenging. So I'm excited to give you guys the cliff notes on what all these guys know from all these different spaces. And John's here today too. He's here to help out. He's a master facilitator, amazing at driving innovation success in sessions like this. So he brings all the interactive side. He's an amazing hype man and has facilitated over 400 workshops. He's from the Navy and he's worked with up to 4-star admirals and generals. So John, if you can take it away.
Sweet. Okay, so this is going to be incredibly awkward if that wasn't already, but there's something that we got to get out of our system right now real quick. So there's a bunch of you guys that don't have a camera on. We don't want to invade your space and make you turn them on. You don't have to. Again, you can turn this into a laughter about us. That's fine. But you're going to, in the next 30 seconds, find your favorite song. You're going to hit play. Everyone's going to be on mute, and you're going to sing along to your favorite song. It really only works once 2 or 3 penguins jump off the edge of the iceberg and turn your camera on. If not, that's totally okay. I'll do it. But I'm asking, Ken and Keith and Dr. G and some of those people to tune in here, and then we'll get started. Rachel will kick it off from here. So I'm going to find my own music right now. Keith, really appreciate you doing this. We can sing along together. Find your favorite song. We're going to hit play here in a second. I'm going to mute myself so you can't hear me dance or sing. I promise we are getting to some really good stuff here, but part of the mental sherbet for getting ready for Rachel is Keith, you should just do this. Unmute yourself at some point. All right. Unmute. Okay. I hope you guys are ready. So, Rachel, I think, we're not going to get everybody to do this, but at least we got Keith and Mace up in here with their screen on, so we can at least take a cue from them. That's all we were hoping for. So over to you.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for that. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen just a second. Got to work through all the YouTube logistics there. I was curious if everyone could figure out what songs everyone was singing. So, all right. So we were here to, actually talk about innovation impact as much as John's YouTubes are fun. So the three main layers that I really wanted to share with you guys today are talking about vision, pipeline, and process. So vision, looking specifically at how the world's moving faster and everyone's looking to keep up and create a new way of surviving in the new world, if you will. Pipeline, so that's all of your opportunities that are going to come to life to make your vision a success. And process, meaning all of the different pieces that are required to make a project come to life. And so across all of these different areas, like I said, vision is really critical to success. So again, I come from industry, but you see a lot in this space where people are afraid of failure. So there's a lot of businesses that are at risk for disruption, with half of the S&P that's going to be replaced by 2027. So there's this huge fear of failure, losing to the Amazons and Facebooks of the world, if you will. And then there's a lot of companies that want to do better from this. So 96% of executives define innovation as a strategic priority, and they're actually driven they know that they need innovation success to survive. So looking at all of this, it means that we all know that innovation has a high fail rate, and that it really takes a lot of tries to get innovation to succeed. And other types of high fail rate efforts require pipeline management. So if you think about sales, for example, if you had a lemonade stand, if you will, you wouldn't expect every single person that sees your lemonade stand to actually buy lemonade from you. And you would never expect that when you show a marketing campaign, that everyone who sees your marketing campaign would actually click on it and engage with your ad. And when you look at venture as well, you would never expect for every single venture to succeed. And so for some reason, when we're looking at innovation, people tend to expect every single project to work out, but they really need to have this pipeline management perspective. And then that third layer is process. So for process, that's really looking at, so depending on how your opportunities are developing through that pipeline, so whether it's just an idea or you're developing a prototype or you're trying to get business validation from your idea, there's different types of processes that can help you along the way. And you don't want to be the person that's designing a button and figuring out how cool to make it look when you don't even know what your customer's problem is or how important it is to anyone. And so really it's critical to make sure that you're thinking about the right things at the right time. So with all of that in mind, we wanted to share a little bit more about essentially what the red flags would look like for vision. So this is going to start a new activity here, looking at the red flags that often happen with vision. So I'm going to give you guys an example of what typically happens. So if you're in an innovation role or you've seen people want to talk about innovation at the company, you might hear something that's like, this group is beating us, we need to be better than them. And you can see the prompt here. I'll give you 30 seconds to read it. And from there, John, our hype man, can tell us a little more of what we're doing next.
I'm a super slow reader, so I'll give you an extra second. So, okay, real quick, and you can finish reading that up. Totally not lost on us that this session is taking place in the middle of a networking session that hopefully you guys want to be part of as well. So we're going to attempt to kind of inculcate that into this session, where you guys get to potentially meet some other folks in this, maybe talk about this specifically. And so the audience that we have here, you know, far between, you know, military background or corporate or whatnot. Hopefully you guys have some lessons learned that you guys can share, and hopefully some ones that you haven't heard before that you can potentially learn from. So, you know, I'll tell you the grand scope of this. So Brandon in a second is going to kick us all to groups of 4. I'm going to give you a ton of instructions, but I promise I'll backtrack and it will flow smoothly. But I'll just tell you high level right now. You're going to go into groups. You're going to have a discussion. You're going to introduce each other, you know, et cetera. Hopefully you'll connect on your own in the chat, you know, with emails or LinkedIn, whatnot. And then if anybody says anything that resonates with you, you're going to type it into a screen that I'm going to share with you. You're all going to go to a website, and we're going to create a word cloud based on these discussions. So that sounds like a lot, but it's really not. You're going to show up. You're going to be in a room of random people. You're going to introduce yourself, less than a minute each, who you are, where you're from, what you do, et cetera. But in that minute, you're going to share, you know, when has this type of innovation challenge happened to you? Where have you seen it? An example that you have, something like that. So everyone's going to share. Once everyone is done sharing, we'll bring everybody back. The element that's added into it is Menti. So if you guys, I'll cut and paste it into the chat so you guys can see it. Everybody will end up going to menti.com. And you're going to type in that code that I just put in the chat, which is 733922. And everybody should see the word cloud or words word cloud. I want to make sure you guys can all hop in there. I'll start to see you guys pop in a second. You can do it on your phone or computer, no big deal. And while you're doing that, I'm going to tell you again what we're doing just so you're not completely lost. You're going to be broken up into groups of 4. You're going to have a discussion, tell everybody who you are. And if any of the stuff that Rachel just said resonates with you or has happened, or you have an example, share it with everybody and type that into Menti so that we can create a word cloud based on what you've experienced and what resonates with you. And then we'll bring you back. So go ahead, Rachel.
I was just going to say, just to recap, if you've experienced ambiguous innovation challenges and just general challenges around being asked to do something innovative with lack of clarity and some things that made it difficult, we want to hear about it. Or if you can't relate to that, if you can look at the example that we had just shared and there was something that stood out to you as a challenge, that's great to hear too.
Sweet. Okay, Brandon, you can kick them into their groups.
I'm sending you guys to get equal numbers.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, Rachel and Master John, we added about another 10 people, I think. So for those of you who were in breakouts, welcome back. For those of you who are already here, Master John and Rachel are our hosts for this amazing workshop. So I'd say give them a round of applause, but obviously don't do that. So Rachel, John, take it away.
You are on mute.
There we go. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for everyone who just joined us. What we did was we talked about some kind of ambiguous innovation goals that a lot of organizations might give. And we're here to talk about different layers of innovation in terms of vision, pipeline, and process. And we just wanted to really chat through the challenges that we saw. So I can say in my group, for example, we talked about there's getting everybody aligned onto a single vision so that we knew what we were actually driving towards sounded like a big challenge. Getting people to want to change and actually drive a culture of innovation was another challenge that we heard. And if you can see in the example here, there's a lot of ambiguity in what people often ask for in innovation. So they say, we need to be better than this other group, but there's no clarity on how or why or what the goal is. And you might say, give us they want to know your approach of how you're going to make it better, and they're not really giving you resources to do it. So it's really common to be told you don't have resources to innovate, which, you can do it. And it creates a level of, people get through it, but it makes it a lot easier if you're able to have some resource to actually be able to test ideas and create wins. So when we're talking about vision, some of the key elements to success are really three different aspects for vision. So one of those is expected outcomes. So actually having clarity on what success looks like, allocating resources, and then looking at specific opportunity areas. So these are specifically from industry, but it's very common to say, we only have access to this part of the value chain of for a specific process, and we want to understand further along. So maybe we only understand inside the engine, but we want to understand the whole plane. Or maybe we understand the airman from in the morning, but we really want to understand what the rest of his day looks like and be able to collect data on that. Or maybe it's along the lines of industry expansion. We work with this one specific group, but we're wondering how we could be working across all the groups. Or often it's internal optimization. We're wanting to reduce our costs and increase our speediness to do this. So even just having some themes like this really makes a difference on what you're able to drive within the organization. And so from here, we're going to dive into pipeline. So this is looking at vision. And for our next section, we're going to talk about pipeline. And it's really important to be able to build an investment thesis. So now we've talked about vision, and now we have to be able to actually take that to an outcome. So John's going to share a little bit more about how we need to be thinking about how we invest in all of these different opportunities. And we're going to do that through a quick poll. So going to go ahead and pass that to John.
Unmute. Okay. So before with the word cloud, which we will share later, we also had a great conversation on our side, and we can share that after the fact, but wanted to make sure you guys actually had the tool. So if you are new to this, I am cutting and pasting this in again, and this is where you're going to get your poll. And at the very end, while I'm putting this in and you're typing it in with your phone or computer on menti.com with that code, at the very end, it's going to ask you for your name and email if you want Rachel's slides so you don't have to take notes. And if you want to be connected with some of these people after the fact, we'll obviously do that. So when you type that in and you go to Menti, you're going to see the first question, which says waiting for players. I'm going to make it super quick so we can give Rachel some time back. So we might not even wait for everybody. Right now we've got 4 and everyone's filtering in. So let's give it another minute. We have 6 players. 7. We'll wait till we get to 9. They're coming in. 8.
Got 25 people here. They can get to 9.
Yeah, well, we're at 10 now, and it keeps climbing. So let's do this. If you're late to this game, we have a couple more, and we'll go on into the next question. So here we go. We're already at 12. So I'm sorry that I'm cutting you off. I want to save some room for Rachel, but here are some questions. Here we go. So you're going to answer fast to get the most points. Look at your phone. Hopefully you see the countdown. And to make this even more fun and interesting, I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see what everybody else did. You guys all right with that? So nobody, that's actually perfect. It's like we set you guys up or something. So nobody got the right answer. You see 250. So I guess there is no leaderboard for that one. That's all right. And we'll go to the next one. Technology. Come on.
So really here, it was showing that to create $17 billion companies, the San Francisco investor had to invest in 250 companies. So it just shows that to get 17 huge wins, it took 250 tries.
And obviously the leaderboard is 0 because none of you guys are as smart as Rachel. No offense to anybody. That's just it's a tag for Rachel. All right, here's another question. Look at your phone. Get ready.
Oh, all we got that.
Yeah. And then the leaderboard here. Ooh, Savannah Unana. All right, good. You want to say anything to that before I move to the next one, the last one?
No, let's keep going. Sounds like people see that it takes a lot of tries to get success.
Yep. Here we go. Technology. We might have to just move on if it doesn't come up right away. It's some kind of lag. Why don't you just, we'll just move on from this one. No big deal.
Yep, no problem. All right. So then really what that leads to is we're looking at the elements of really needing to have a mature pipeline to be able to bring an opportunity to life. So I know we're flying through this really fast, but we really wanted to just bring a high level to all these different pieces. So the same way that you would see in Silicon Valley that you can have funding for early stage companies, and you have larger types of funding as companies mature. All of these funding vehicles essentially allow these companies to grow and scale, and they're based on the idea that very, very few companies are going to pay for the return of all of the investments. So if you're an investor in Uber, you might invest in 100 companies, but only one of them is the one that paid for the rest of the portfolio. And so that's called the power law curve. And that really, that mentality of being able to invest in innovation is required to bring success. So if you're tasked with transforming your organization with innovation, having the idea that you're going to have to try lots of different experiments to actually create one success helps create that mindset of perfection is actually achieving those 100 experiments. It's not getting 100% success on every single one. And knowing how to decide which experiments to continue with is really critical in that decision-making factor. So with each of those steps forward, you want to be able to have clear criteria around what success looks like for each of those steps. So now you're probably looking at me like I'm crazy. How are you going to actually run? You know, I used to run one project at a time, and now you're telling me to run 100. And really the trick to that is having process is what reduces effort. And so you might have seen some of these different processes before where people use innovation methodologies to be able to take an idea from idea to prototype, such as the Google Sprint or Adobe Kickbox, some of these other kinds of tools, Scrum. And these are the tools that essentially allow you to take the effort from working on something for like 100 hours to much, much less. And by following these processes, instead of having 5 projects that you can run within a full work week, you're able to run a lot more because you've productized essentially that process, so that can help you bring all of these opportunities to life. And so really with this process level, I think we're a little tight on time. Or John, what do you think? Should we do one more session, or how's it look?
Ran overtime, so if you guys want to take a little more time and the 25 participants want to stay, then we've got a little more time if we want it.
Okay. I personally think since we're, like we said in the beginning, we're doing the networking thing. If you just keep it super short, I mean, I met some incredible people in this last one, and hopefully those are relationships everybody can continue with.
Great.
So maybe half the amount of time that you gave us the last time, and then Rachel can finish hopefully you leave them wanting more and they all get in touch with you.
Awesome. Well, yes, I know this is super fast and we're flying through this, but the goal is to keep the conversation going and see how we can be helpful. So with all of this in mind, we really wanted to ask everyone to break back down into sessions, break down into groups, and think about a time that you're working on something new and you're experimenting with something, but really you might be approaching it with one project today, but how could you be testing a lot of ideas at once and essentially be building a whole portfolio of ideas and splitting across a lot of different projects. And so we're really curious to hear you talk about how you might take that one thing you're working on and expand upon it so that you're more likely to reach success.
Welcome back, everyone. Master John, Rachel, over to you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the session. I know that we're basically at time right now, but
we can take a couple more minutes because the main plenary is late, so nobody will miss anything if they stay for a few more minutes.
Okay, perfect. So sorry, sharing my screen the quick way here, but really the elements to good process, just to finish us out, are thinking about if that process is going to drive you towards the outcomes that are really important to that time. So something that we just talked about in our breakout session was, I could do a lot of projects, but I need to make sure that I don't have too many irons on the fire. I'm not creating, you know, just a bunch of work. And so we need to make sure that your project is being taken care of with clear, what is it going towards, and having a process that actually supports that outcome that you guys are looking for. Having a team that can actually support that process as well, and making sure that it fits in the right part of your innovation process. So really at a high level, looking at all of these across the board, vision, pipeline, and process. So thinking about all the way at the top, what are you driving towards? Looking at those, what outcomes you expect, how you're allocating resource, how that breaks down into different funding phases and decision-making, and then having the processes that support it. It sounds like a lot to think about, but those are the things working across venture capital, working across large corporations and startups that everyone seems to have the pieces of, but really need to come together to drive that impact. So we just have a few more minutes. Like you said, John and I are willing to, we can definitely stick around for some Q&A for anyone who's interested. John's going to throw our LinkedIn's in there as well. And just a quick plug for Productable. We're a software platform that essentially supports a lot of these different tools, so or parts of the process. So if you're looking to run an innovation portfolio and manage a lot of these different aspects and bring it to life, we're looking for people within the Air Force who are excited about that and looking to partner with us, and other vendors who are excited about that. And John, I'll let you share a little bit more about yourself too. Oh, you're muted, John.
I was trying to find the mute thing. The chat was hiding it. I put both of your names on there. I don't know if you guys don't know this because she didn't want to share it with you, but she's getting married tomorrow, and she cares so much about this and you guys and all of this stuff. And I'm dead serious here. She's doing this with you guys right now, but I can't imagine how much it takes to So congratulations to her. I threw both of her names in there just in case they change on LinkedIn. Please reach out to her or myself. I do offsites, retreats, team building, and strategic planning sessions all over the world, and now virtually, obviously. I see some people in here from Summer of Design from UVA Darden, which is awesome. It's a small world, so very, very cool to see some very familiar faces here. Would love to stay in touch with you guys. The Menti that we put in here allows you to put your name and email address. If that is too much for you, at least reach out to Rachel and myself on LinkedIn so we can stay connected. Absolutely.
Great.
Cool. And at the end, again, we'll oh, Brandon, you're on mute.
Yeah, we have a little bit more time. If you guys questions, virtual marriage advice or innovation related, go for it.
So I'll jump in and say something super quick. So in both sessions that I was not anticipating having to talk to other people, but it was great. In both of them, the dynamic was wildly different, but the key takeaway that I have from something like that, and something that Rich said in ours, is you got to know people. You got to hang out with and hook everybody else up. They're going to hook you up. We're going to hook each other up. And the reason that you guys are taking time out of your day and time to communicate and collaborate with other like-minded individuals who are not necessarily so like-minded, we're all kind of over the map, is a good thing. So staying in touch is huge. So whether you throw your LinkedIn in the chat here and connect with each other or other people in this conference, I will tell you, Rachel invited me to be her wingman from this, and I've already stolen way too much time already. She's incredible. So over to you, Rachel.
Sure. Thanks, John. That was awesome. Any questions from anyone or comments?
Are you Facebook live streaming the wedding?
No, we decided not to. We did think about it because it was kind of like, why not at this point? But it's very small and decided not to.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
What would you say is the biggest challenge to creating a culture of innovation within a community?
That's a great question. I mean, I honestly think it comes down to willingness to have failure. And it's that mindset shift around having that one project that you expect to succeed. If you make room for saying, we're going to do 10 projects and only one's going to succeed, and you can kill 9 of them at day 2 or whenever they need to be killed, then it creates a lot more room to separate your ego from your project, and that you can just go build things that aren't so personal to you, and then you can actually drive success. So it's really that allocation of resource that happens in venture capital and happens in Silicon Valley, some of these other kinds of areas where you create that culture because failure is okay.
Awesome answer. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions? All right.
Wonderful job. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And excited to connect with all of you. So just don't be a stranger, and we'll definitely happy to continue the conversation.
So the main stage will begin shortly. A bunch more stuff coming up, including, I assume Rachel would love Simon Sinek at the end of the day. So Prescott, you stay on. Everybody else, thanks for your time. And we'll see you guys back in the main stage.